said that Jesse was also a Gemini. Ooh, I don't know. Ooh, I got a cousin that's a and a nephew that's a Gemini. Ooh, the president of the United States is a. Y'all try to impeach that motherfucker. You see what happens when you try to impeach him? He ain't go nowhere. Plus, he pressed the button. Please make sure that you like, share, and subscribe because it is so important to my success here on the YouTube. And if you do not have a retirement/investment plan in place through your employer, please check out the Acorn app below. Find out how Google, Apple, JP Morgan, Chase, and all those other rich motherfuckers can work for you. Now, let's talk about Morris Day's. Child, hold on, because I always get this name wrong. Okay. It's Morris Day's On Time, A Princely Life in Funk. I think this is part 4. Wait, child. Listen, one thing that I wanted to say before we get started is I really appreciate everyone who is listening and watching this video, because a lot of you guys listen to my videos on the way to work. Child, I told you it'd be like morning coffee sometimes when you just need that morning laugh. I get it, okay? When I was a part of the working world, back down there to the DC, driving through that traffic in Georgetown, I get it. This section opens up with Prince saying, hey, why don't you tell him how I gave you a Billboard chart hit, okay? Morris Day say, hold on. I'm telling this story. Chill, brother. So Morris Day continues to talk about how, as a videographer, he wasn't making a lot of money when he was taping, Prince at his shows or whatever, right? Now, this is still before the time, but it's at the point where they are cultivating the first time album. Okay, and Morris Day was a videographer, and he worked part-time with this group called, oh, child, his name. It was Enterprising for Pleasure. But Prince didn't like none of his people to work part-time for nobody. Because what Morris Day said, he initially said Prince liked to own his people. And then Morris Day came back and said, my bad, he likes to help his people. I will give kudos to Morris Day because of the fact he's pretty fair in this book. There are times that he could have burned Prince's ass up, but I know while reading this book that he still has prime allegiance to Roger Prince Nelson. Oh, I still like Prince, even though I found out he was old sneaky conniving motherfucker. I still fuck with the dude. Morris Day say, but hold on, let's pause before we get into what Prince want to talk about, because he want to talk about him, but let's pause that Princey Pooh and talk about this. Morris Day talks about a time where him and Prince went to movies to see this movie called, it was a biopic about a guy named Mariucci. The movie was called Idol Maker. And what Morris Day said was that he could see Prince thinking about what his overall plan was, because the movie was about how Mariucci was creating stars, okay? And that was what Prince's overall goal was. And I know you saying to yourself, well, Nay, that's not a bad thing if a person is trying to help other people to, become celebrities and to put people's creativity on the forefront. I know that's what you're saying, but no, remember this. Prince's bottom line was the more people that I got, the more money I can get from them. It is a beautiful thing when you're recognized by such a great artist like Prince as good enough to be a part of his camp. But the more I read this book, the more I'm saying that motherfucker Prince was a beast. Kind of like a boyfriend with issues. Now Morris Day goes back into talking about how Prince cultivated Morris Day in the time, or at least the Time's first album. Now, Morris Day says that his vision was a solo deal. Prince's vision was a band. But when he thought about it realistically, why would Prince create a solo artist who could potentially be competition for him? Well, this is where Prince encouraged, i.e. rushed, Morris Day to put out a band record without a band. Now, see, Prince wasn't worried because Prince knew that between them two, they could get it done. Prince was the producer, Morris Day was the co-producer. Prince could play the guitar, and Morris Day could play the drums. And Prince eventually hired a dude on the synthesizers and some females to do background, and they did that whole album without a band. Now, this was what was interesting, and I would be the same way too, because I believe in researching things before you actually speak on them or do them. You can't just jump out there and do shit. You got to figure out what works and what don't work. Morris Day said that before they got into the studio, they would go to clubs and they would listen to the songs that was making people dance. Brothers Johnson Stomp, Shalimar the Second Time Around, and Diana Ross, I'm Coming Out. Look, bitches, look. If y'all don't know this, I am a supreme Diana Ross fan. You hear me? You heard, y'all bitches don't understand. It's my house and I live here. Hey, it's my casa y vivo aquí. I'm gonna go see Diana Ross in April in Las Vegas during her residency. Y'all, es mi casa y vivo aquí. Okay. What Morris Day also says is that the perks of being in Prince's camp is witnessing the excellence, the musicology, the musician himself. He loved how Prince had so much knowledge of certain people. And I would say, you know what? I would think the best artists are not just limited to just one genre of music. He even goes on to talk about how Prince had adulation for Miles Davis. Now, I didn't like that big head motherfucker. I wasn't impressed. I don't want no man whose forehead is that big, okay? Because that motherfucker is thinking way too much for me. In my mind, if I'm laying a man or a woman with a head that big, I'm thinking that bitch trying to plot to throw my body somewhere, okay? And that she got a whole life insurance policy on your girl. So I don't date people with foreheads that big. But Prince, on the other hand, he loved her. Prince even loved the way that Miles Davis was smooth. Oh, wait a minute. Am I thinking about Bobby Womack? Damn, I'm thinking about Bobby Womack, y'all, not Miles Davis. My bad. Tear all that other part out. He adored Miles Davis because he loved his presence on stage. He loved his music. He loved the way he dressed. He just thought that he was a smooth, suave man. They both liked Bob Dylan. Now, I know you like, Nay, how the hell you know about Bob Dylan? Baby, now I do love go-go. That is my number one form of music. My number two would be funk. It used to be disco, but then that's because I only forgot about the funk. I told you I ain't the most sober person in the world. But number one would be go-go. Number two would be funk. Number three would be disco. And then number four would be that old hippie, there is a season, turn. Shit. I like that shit. I don't know why. I like that Shaggy from Scooby-Doo type music. I don't know why, but I do. It's interesting. And sometimes it's not about the beat of it. It's about the words. That's why I like Janis Joplin, junkie ass. Despite the travel, they both had the same destination, to make the Time's first album amazingly different. Let's break down, how the album and the instruments worked. Okay, let me get this together for you. So we got Prince on the guitar and bass, Morris on the drums. They hired some dude named Matt Fink to be on the synthesizers, And he hired some women to be background singers. I wonder who they were. Was that Wendy and Lisa or something? I don't know, because you know he always got bitches around him. That's all I can say. And Morris Day was singing lead. Now, Morris Day never thought of himself as a lead singer. I never even thought of Morris Day as a good lead singer. But he had that power, that star power to get it done, you know? And Prince was like, don't limit yourself. You could do whatever it is that you want to do. I believed in you. See, that's the reason why that damn Sagittarian man was real life loyal to Prince. Shit like that be the reason why people stay with people or stay in friendships that not necessarily be the best. But those are part of the reason. That's the reason why. So this is how Prince described Morris Day as a singer or a lead singer. He called him coy and sexy. I said, was that the reason why? I don't know. Prince saw the album as an opportunity for Morris Day to be great, to be a creator, a producer, a singer. He had big dreams about the album. But when the album was over and completed, Prince just, went to go working with his other artists. Morris Day was in his feelings. He said because Prince was a Gemini and ran hot and cold, he didn't know when the project was going to come out or what was going to happen. So now, here we go. A couple of weeks later, nothing. Morris Day is back gigging with the Prince, what's the name of the band? But anyway, he was with his band that he was working part-time with, right? And he got a call. Prince chimes in and say, let me tell the story. Morris say, go right on ahead. Prince describes the story like this. Ring, ring. May I speak to Morris? Okay, hold tight. Morris gets on the phone. Hello? Prince say, what you doing? Morris Day say, I'm playing the drums, making $35 a night. Prince say, you need to quit that job. Well, why? Because you need to hurry up and get your band together. Get It Up is a hit. But you need a band, brother. You need a band and you need a name. Now, don't worry about the easy part, the name. I got that. That's easy. This is where Prince said the first name was The Nerve. And he gets this from this old white group. I know you black motherfuckers don't know this group. But The Fix. So he had came up with, something like sliding from The Fix. So he came up with The Nerve and then The Time. Morris Day fell in love. Morris Day already has who he wants in mind. Okay, the first two people is that Terry Jam. Oh, no, wait a minute. Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis, right? From the group Flight Time. Prince say, I don't know. Morris, them motherfuckers might have too much self-esteem. I can't deal with motherfuckers that got self-esteem. I need me old cowardly bitch that'll just do whatever I say. Now, Morris Day, being a, let's say, Sagittarian, because them motherfuckers they have no filter. They are reckless as hell. I'm going to say it. Always will, but they reckless. Morris Day say, are you threatened, brother? Prince said, no. Well, then Morris said, what's the problem? Yeah, Prince, what is the problem? That nigga is a whole piece of work. You hear me? He is a piece of work. So now let's go into the breakdown and why he chose each person for the time. You got Jimmy Jam. He called him the headstrong genius. He was the keyboard player. Okay. Now, what I didn't know was that Jimmy Jam to Morris Day was comparable to Prince in regards to creativity. I didn't know that, child. Then he chose Jimmy Jam's best friend, Terry Lewis, who played the bass. Morris Day described him as a fantastic bass player, right? Then we had Jelly Bean on drums. Morris Day described him as the greatest funk drummer since the James Brown days. I said, oh shit. So then they move on to some guy named Monty Montgomery. He was on synthesizer. So then what they wanted was Alexander O'Neal because he was the vocalist of Flight Time. Okay? And he knew Alexander O'Neal's power. He didn't need horns from Flight Time because, you know, that Minnesota sound didn't require, or Minneapolis sound didn't require horns. It was basically a lot of synthesizers. So anyway, the only thing that was missing was the guitars, okay? And remember I told you that, you know, when he was working part-time playing for this band called the Enterprise Band of Pleasure, something like that, you know, forgive me, y'all know I ain't. But anyway, one of the bandmates had mentioned this dude from Rock Island, Illinois named Jesse Johnson. Morris Day had played like this 20-minute set of Jesse Johnson playing, okay? Prince raised one eyebrow and said, oh, you better go get that nigga. He said that Jesse was also a Gemini. Ooh. I don't know. Ooh. I got a cousin that's and a nephew that's a Gemini. Ooh. The president of the United States is a. Y'all tried to impeach that motherfucker. You see what happens when you try to impeach him. He ain't go nowhere. Plus, he pressed the button. Morris Day compared Jesse Johnson to Jimi Hendrix. Ooh, that's a bad motherfucker. Carlos Santana and Prince. Now, the thing about Flight Time was that Flight Time was great. So, you know, them motherfuckers was ready to move over because they knew that although they were successful, they was like, right here successful, right here. But Prince was internationally successful. So even though Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis and all the rest of Flight Time looked at Prince as sideways, okay, they was like, we need to go over there with that nigga. Mm-hmm. Yeah, over there. Even if we don't care for that crazy motherfucker over there. So the only holdup, according to Flight Time, was Alexander O'Neal. Okay, because they got damn near the whole band except for the horns as a part of the time. Okay, now, Alex, I need you to sing for me. Alex said no. Answer, no. Prince don't want to give me no money. Morris Day understood because he knew that Prince was old cheap motherfucker. Morris Day tried to convince him, listen, we not getting paid a lot of money now, but you know we'll get money on the back end. Alexander O'Neal said, oh, he can exploit y'all motherfuckers, but he won't exploit me. But what Morris Day also says is that he understood Alexander O'Neal's position and his answer to say no, because he said black musicians are the most exploited in the industry. They don't get royalties and they be getting zero credit for the work that they do. So I can dig it, you know. Prince chimed in and said, well, good for you, because now you lead vocals. How about that? Morris Day said, you know, Prince made me an extension of his ego. And it was fine until I realized that being an extension of someone else's pride and ego could turn messy. So once the album was done, Morris Day was placed on the back cover. That's what, oh God, should I? I just don't feel like getting up again, but hold on. Child, hold on. Okay, again. All right. This is an album, okay? And what happens is on the back of the album would be all the... What is the information on here? Yeah, it is. This is for Warner Brothers. But look. It would be the song information on the back cover. Okay, and this would be all the credits right here. Look how small that shit is in. Like, I don't know how they do it now when you be streaming, but back in the day, you would turn the cover over, and this right here would be all the motherfuckers who created it. According to Morris Day, Prince was the producer, i.e. Jamie Starr, and Morris Day was the co-producer. He talked about how Prince was very controlling. He controlled the recording, the production, management, and what he said specifically was that Prince had found a management team that would do exactly what he wanted. That tells me, or how I read that as, the management team may not do what's best for the band. The management team does what Prince wants them to do for the band. I want to talk about that first gig, which was on the Chitterling circuit. Ain't nothing wrong with the Chitterling circuit. Shit. I mean, who's that? Tyler Perry started down there on the Chitterling circuit, and that motherfucker is rich. I mean, he got a whole, community over there now, okay? But, I mean, the Chitterling circuit has been good to me, and it's been good to Tyler Perry. The Chitterling circuit been good to a lot of motherfuckers, okay? I feel like I'm down here in the Chitterling circuit on YouTube sometimes, but let me digress. That first gig was at this place that was fucked up, okay? Like all the letters on the, the little light up board out front. What is that? I don't know. That it wasn't lit up. All the letters wasn't lit up, okay? They didn't have no dressing room. It wasn't nobody there, but hell, they was dead, right? So for the dressing room, they took their ass back to that stinking ass van because they was in a caravan and the caravan was messed up. And what was also crazy was they said that on the stage, it was a wall in between the stage. So half the band was playing on one side and the other band was playing on the other. And they was singing the two different parts of the club. But guess what, y'all? Why was it only 12 people there? So it ain't matter any fucking way. They said, so, they hit the stage at 9 o'clock. They said they played that song, Get It Up. Ain't nobody get up. So they was like, this has got to change. But it was pretty much the same throughout the South. Morris Day said that their crowd did not take a turn until they got to Motown, Detroit, where a DJ, I think his name was Charles Johnson, who loved Prince, had been putting the Times Get It Up in rotation. So Detroit, i.e. Motown, was waiting on them. In fact, they actually played in a venue that was a venue where a lot of the Motown greats ended up playing at. Now, this is the key, okay? This hold tight. So, but anyway, how Morris Day goes on to talk about it is by the time they got down there to that big venue, what's the name of it? It was called the So Grand, child. It was popping, and so was the vagina. Now, Morris Day, he don't know how to handle all this adulation from the ladies. He don't know what he was doing because he was like, listen, I'm an old square dude that's thrusted into the position of being cool. He said he didn't know how to handle all of that. Of course you don't. Of course you don't. That's why square dudes who get money act a whole nigga. That's why Drake is the way he is. That's why most of these ninjas act the way they act and turn into misogynistic pigs because they wasn't getting pussy when they was young. I mean, now, Prince chimes in and says, yeah, you was tripping, brother. Morris Day, yep, right into some pussy. Now, if you have not already done so, please remember to like, share, and subscribe because this is so important to my success here on the YouTube. The same people you meet on the way up will always be the same people that you meet on the way down. Naysayers, my patron loves. Have a good one.